Bonsoir les amis, this is Llyane Stanfield and you can find me at parisianfrench.com. Today I would like to talk about the first step to fluency. I had a webinar yesterday in the group. You have the link in the description above or here, I think it is. I can't remember exactly because it's in the mirror. In the group, I have a webinar that I ran yesterday, and I was talking about the four steps to fluency. And the first step is pronunciation. So I'm going to give you a few examples and why is that important and why is it the first step. And that transcript is also in the group. So I already had a Facebook Live in the group that is much more detailed. And so if you want to get into the thank you for the love. If you want to get more into the nitty gritty and know exactly how pronunciation can help you, then go to the Facebook group, the Parisian French Conversationalist Facebook group. So, why pronunciation? Well, there's a big difference between English and French. In English, we learn a word at a time. Thank you for the love. Thank you. In French, the pronunciation is at sound level. So there is there are certain ways to put the letters together one after the other, and you get certain sounds in French. In English, we don't have that. I mean, we have a little bit, but not as much as in French. In English, in order to know how to pronounce a word, I need to know what it means, so the context, right? And how to pronounce it. So for instance, in English, I have tear and tear. They mean completely different things, and they are pronounced completely differently. And if I didn't know, because they're spelled the same way, I had no idea how to pronounce them. And so that's the curse that all of us who had to learn English are going through and have, right? And so this is a problem that we have with new words. In French, however, we have rules of pronunciation. So instead of learning, I don't know how many words, pronunciation of how many words you need in a decent conversation, you only learn a very limited number of rules, and you get to never ever make any pronunciation or spelling error ever again, no matter if it's with words that you already know or with words that you don't know. So for instance, just to give you a couple of examples, why is that a good thing, is let's imagine that you go to Paris, you go to a restaurant with, I don't know, your lover or your client, and so you want to order something, like the meal. And you get the menu, and very rarely will you have the translation in English. Let's just say you know what you want to order, and you have the writing in front of you, but you actually can't say the words because you don't know how. Nobody said them to you before in order for you to replicate the pronunciation. And so you'll probably butcher it, and you'll be embarrassed in front of, I just said who. It's really not a good thing. And which can be dodged, so you can avoid that, obviously, if you knew the rules of pronunciation, because those rules are actually helping you to pronounce any words that you never ever read before. Another application of this or benefit is when, for instance, you go to Paris, you have your hotel name and address, and you have to ask the bus driver or someone, where is this hotel or where is this street? Of course you can show, but that, again, it's not as adult as you wish it could be. And there is an option, knowing the rules of pronunciation, no matter what street name or no matter what name of hotel, you will know how to pronounce them. And then, well, of course, you'll impress your whoever you're traveling with, your lover, your client, or your friend, your family. And it's so much more comfortable, and it makes you enjoy the experience so much more. So to give you an example, in French, we don't have the situation that we have in English with tear and tear, But we do have, for instance, words that are spelled the same way, but they are pronounced the same way. So the difference between one and the other, when they mean different things, would be through gender. So for instance, le livre, the book, la livre, the pound. So you can say, for instance, le livre a une livre. The book has a pound. And now phrase construction, which is what I was saying in the webinar, and hopefully you're going to go into the conversation group there, which it's not 100% French there, so don't be afraid to go there. We speak in English, and until we understand each other, most people are beginners. So, but in the webinar, I was saying the phrase construction is so important. So gender, although it's part of vocabulary, which I'm going to talk on Wednesday about, but you can also consider it as part of the phrase construction because it changes the words in the sentence. And so pronunciation is so crucial. And I always recommend that you start with pronunciation. There are 4 steps to follow, to make in order for you to become bilingual or fluent, however it is that you want to call yourself. First is pronunciation, then the phrase construction, which you should focus on from there on forever, then vocabulary, and then verbs or grammar. So pronunciation is always the first one. I have created a pronunciation course which can be learned in 2 hours, and I created it because I didn't find anywhere a resource for my clients to help them learn the pronunciation rules. And so if you want to know more about this, because I don't want to repeat what I've done in the group, if you want to know more about the pronunciation and how that can absolutely unclog the pipe of your fluency and the flow, go to the Parisian French Conversationalist Facebook group. The link is in the description of this video, and see it there and get more details there. So I want to still remind you, don't ever give up on your dream to become bilingual. Learn to speak Parisian French and break your language barrier. Merci beaucoup et à demain. Au revoir.